Good evening and welcome to the season finale of Give Me a Break. I'm John the Carmody. Imagine in this first story right here. There's a bad incident happened in school. You tell your parents ask you how was your day, and you say it was strange, and you don't know what happened. You say some things like someone assume a child pepper sprayed us in school, and you have video footage of it. But what if, as a parent, you realize that you heard about this and hearing the child say the school didn't do anything about it? You're furious and you want some change. Well, you want some change, you want some answers. Well, that's exactly what's going on in Cumberland County. In a classroom just days ago, a student sprayed pepper spray in a classroom, and now parents are demanding answers. Take a look.
A Cumberland County parent says the pepper spray incident happened here at New Century International Middle School.
On April 14th, there was a pepper mace chemical exposure in the classroom.
The parent and their child didn't want to reveal their identity, but the child says it had everyone in the classroom talking.
People were saying they smelled chemical, they smelled something weird. It burned, and I noticed it after school when my dad told me my face was red.
The parent says they did some investigating and decided to send this letter to the Cumberland County School Superintendent the following day. The parent later discovered that a note had been sent to parents regarding the incident. Here you can see it says a student brought pepper spray and passed it to another student who discharged it in the classroom. As a result, several students experienced coughing, irritation, and discomfort. But the parent says yes, it was sent on the day it happened, but to the 4th and 5th period class. This parent says their child is in the 3rd period.
It's absolutely sickening.
The parent says that 3 days later, a new note was sent to the 3rd period class, and the school admitted, unfortunately, it was mistakenly sent to the 4th period dojo communication system instead. We reached out to Cumberland County Schools, and they told us because this incident involves confidential student information, we cannot comment directly. However, the safety of our students and staff are always our top priority. It's a move this parent isn't happy with.
This was 3 days too late. They should have notified me and other parents so that way we could have had our children medically evaluated.
Now, the parent says they would like some accountability for this issue, also for any future incidents similar to this one. Of course, we'll continue to follow this story. I'm Greg Funderburg reporting live for CBS 17 News.
Thank you, Greg. And of course, we'll follow this story and bring you latest developments as they continue on our future episode. Now, what everybody's common sense about this? Mace or pepper spray? It's a weapon. I mean, what if it gets in somebody's eye? I mean, think about this. Remember the old show, The Principal's Office, to where a student had lotion squirted or sprayed on them? One of the students said it's non-toxic. What if it gets to somebody's eye? The principal asks his child, okay, what if it gets to somebody's eye? It's not, and she defends herself saying, hey, it's not toxic. Whether it's toxic or not, you don't know what people are allergic to. This is horrible as a student at Cumberland County International Middle School. I want more safety, and kids are crazy up in there. New Century, you're right. I was in the class. That is not true. If he says it's not true, what's his version of the story? He may say, well, I wasn't the one handing the pepper spray, blah, blah, blah. He may sit there and deny it to the principal saying, hey, I mean, who had the pepper spray? We probably won't know. Whoever had that pepper spray or mace, we'll never know. But corrective action needs to be taken to prevent this from ever happening again in the near future. What corrective action should be taken? Well, for the child, whoever sprayed that pepper spray, the teacher should have noticed it, sent him to the office with a referral, and the principal would have gave him ISS or detention. Not out of school suspension. Out of school suspension just means a day off from school. But with your parents coming in saying, hey, you're grounded. Parents are demanding answers, and schools are like saying, well, we can't comment on this specifically because blah, 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 blah. It's like, I think everybody just understands the whole blah, blah, blah. But the thing you gotta understand here is, you cannot be doing crazy shit like this. It's like this. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's how the game is played. You want to act like a dumbass? Then be a dumbass. You may not know it was a weapon, but you can't be doing something like that. You go buy pepper spray at Academy, they're going to want to see your ID. The bottom line here is, don't ever do crazy shit like this ever again, even if it means getting lectured by your parents. Alright. A case very similar to Rodney King, but it didn't end in a beating. It ended in a murder. What really happened back in 95 when a white officer beat up a black motorist? That story is next. Later on, James Nichols, in his first ever interview 30 years ago since the Oklahoma City bombing. Hear what he had to say when federal agents came to his house and started the show. Stay with us. White officers, a black motorist, and a beating. If this sounds familiar to you, like it did over 30 years ago, you may think this is the story of Rodney King. But no, it isn't. This story is very similar to Rodney King. But it happened in Pittsburgh. What really happened in Pittsburgh to where it was just a routine traffic stop. Police say it was probably just justifiable. But was it really? What else did police reports say? And who else could be telling the truth in this? It wasn't a beating. It was a murder. Here's Elizabeth Vargas.
It was 1:49 in the morning on Wednesday, October 12th. A clear, warm night, much like this one. Lieutenant Milton Mulholland, a 24-year veteran police officer, is on routine patrol in Brentwood, Pennsylvania, an almost all-white, blue-collar suburb of Pittsburgh. He notices a luxury sports car with out-of-state license plates. He says it's moving erratically along Highway 51. The driver, he says, is riding the brake, causing the car to lurch, and the trunk appears weighted down. He wonders if it's carrying contraband. Mulholland calls for backup. Standard operating procedure. Several nearby units respond to what they believe to be a routine traffic stop.
But what happened next would be anything but routine. Within 20 minutes, the driver of the Jaguar would be dead. And in a case with no videotape and no independent eyewitnesses, another community would be engulfed with charges of racism and police brutality. Do you stand behind your officers at this point?
Yes, I do.
Wayne Babish is chief of the Brentwood Police Department. He says Lieutenant Mulholland had every reason to believe the driver of the Jaguar was impaired that night, especially after police say he ignored warnings to pull over and went through 3 red traffic lights instead. And Babish says the events that night had nothing to do with race.
Did Lieutenant Mulholland know he was pulling over a black man?
No, he did not. The Jaguar's windows were deep tinted. He could not determine the sex or the race or the number of occupants in the vehicle at the time.
Driving the Jaguar that night was this man, 31-year-old Johnny Gamage. He was driving home after spending an evening with friends. When he did finally pull over, police say what Gamage did next set in motion a chain of tragic events. Officer John Votis came to Lieutenant Mulholland's aid that night.
At that point, how did Johnny Gamage strike you? How was he behaving?
Mr. Gamage began to reach for things inside the vehicle compartment, and even after I warned him to just keep his hands where I could see him, Mr. Gamage continued in that type of behavior.
Officer Votis says he feared Gamage was reaching for a weapon. He ordered him out of the car with his hands in clear view.
What happened then?
He continued to disobey my commands, and until I had to pull my weapon in order him to just stop and freeze where he's at.
Did he?
No, he just came and rushed toward me.
Did he attack you?
Yes, he did.
Police say that is when a scuffle began. Within minutes, more backup had arrived. 5 officers were now struggling to subdue Johnny Gamage.
There's no question that it was fierce, that it was violent, that it was rather quick.
Why did you think he would fight you that way?
I can't explain why he would, do the things he did, but we felt that he was under the influence or of some type of controlled substance.
The officers say they wrestled Gamage to the ground. They say they struck him repeatedly with their flashlights, fists, and a flexible baton. But the 5 officers, each heavier than Gamage, say they were unable to control him, not by sitting, kneeling, or even stepping on top of Gamage's body.
During the struggle, you were bitten. How did that happen?
I reached over to attempt to cuff one wrist to the other, and that's when it bit down on my thumb. It was the most intense pain I ever felt.
The officers called for paramedics to come to the scene and treat their wounds. But when the medics arrived, it wasn't Officer Votis who needed their immediate help. Johnny Gamage, now handcuffed, his feet bound, suddenly stopped breathing.
I'm sorry, repeat.
Just minutes after what was to be a routine traffic stop, Johnny Gamage was dead.
He was unable to breathe.
Deputy Coroner Art Gilks reviewed the autopsy report on Gamage. The report listed the cause of death as compression of the neck and upper chest, or asphyxia. Gamage was literally squeezed to death.
You're talking about a substantial amount of pressure for over 5 minutes.
Now to our major story of the night, the Gamage investigation, a major...
What the police did and how they did it was about to become a very big story, because the man who died was linked to one of the city's star athletes.
I was stunned. I couldn't believe it.
Gamage was cousin and business partner of Pittsburgh Steelers defensive end Ray Seals. It was Seals' car Gamage was driving that night.
I was looking at the TV screen and I seen my Jag on TV, and I was like, oh my God, that's my cousin Johnny.
According to Seals, Gamage was hardly the menacing suspect police claimed he was.
How would you describe Johnny?
Real easygoing, mild, very caring, very professional, business type, never got in trouble.
In fact, Gamage was a college graduate with no criminal record, a man who organized charity events for his cousin Ray Seals, a man whose uncle was a police officer.
The police say they got into quite an altercation with him and that John wouldn't lay still. He wouldn't stop struggling, and that's why they stayed on top of him.
Now, obviously, my cousin couldn't breathe because that's why he died. So his struggle probably wasn't because he was resisting arrest. His struggle was more for his life.
The coroner's office held an inquest into the death and the conduct of the 5 white police officers. 4 of the coroner's jurors spoke with Dateline.
Well, we all question whether he should have been stopped, even originally. How much do you think race was a factor in this incident?
I think race was a big factor. I really do. Not maybe initially, but I do think race had something to do with it at some point because they thought he was a black criminal driving a stolen car on drugs. And that's really what they thought.
Do you think that, in fact, the events that evening were dramatically different than the story these 5 officers are painting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you think they were covering for each other?
I think they were covering for each other as far as They knew that each one overstepped that fine line.
So what did the inquest reveal about what happened to Johnny Gamage that night? Police did find a small bag of marijuana in the Jaguar, but no drugs were found in Gamage's blood. Doctors did find traces of alcohol, about the equivalent of a single beer. And that weapon that Officer Votis feared Gamage had in his hand as he got out of the car? It turned out to be a cellular telephone and an address book.
Why would an unarmed man, and we now also know that he wasn't drunk and he wasn't on drugs, why would he lunge at an armed police officer when he's outnumbered 3-1?
I can't speak for Mr. Gamage's actions that night.
I don't think that John Votis was polite and respectful to Johnny Gamage. I don't think he said, "Please, sir, will you get out of your car?" I think something passed between them, and I think if Johnny Gamage did come out of his car, which I even question, if he did come out of his car in any kind of a threatening manner, I think he had reason to feel that way.
You think he was provoked?
Oh, definitely.
Of the 5 officers, only John Votis would speak to Dateline, and only then with his attorney at his side. But all 5 officers testified at the inquest that none had ever been cited for violence or excessive force on the job. And they all deny any wrongdoing that night. But Dateline has obtained court records that reveal that one of the officers, John Votis, has been repeatedly accused of violent behavior in his personal life. Our investigation shows a trail of petitions filed from 1987 to 1993 by a former girlfriend alleging abuse. In court documents, she claims he punched her in the head while choking her, ripped her earring from her ear, pushed her into the wall, and repeatedly threatened to kill her. Criminal charges were never filed against Votis, but in another case, he was suspended for 10 days for failing to secure his gun after his fiancée used it to commit suicide. Her family alleges abuse as well and is about to file a wrongful death suit against Votis.
There are allegations that in your personal life you were violent, and some people think that that makes it inappropriate for you to be enforcing the law.
Again, Elizabeth, they're allegations. I am a good police officer. I know in my heart, in my mind, that I do the best job that I can to serve the people of Brentwood.
At any point during the struggle, did you sense that Johnny Gamage was in any kind of distress?
Oh, no. No, it was a surprise to me that Mr. Gamage was in a condition that might prove fatal.
The man asphyxiated. Are you telling me you never once considered the fact that he might be struggling for his life and not struggling against you?
Elizabeth, I told you that when Mr. Gamage asphyxiated and died, this gentleman was being treated by paramedics. He wasn't there.
Are you trying to tell me that because John Votis wasn't sitting on Johnny Gamage the moment this man died, he has no responsibility in the fact that he was in the struggle for 5 or 10 minutes, no responsibility in the fact that these events led up to the man's death?
I am actually telling you that John Votis has no culpability whatsoever in this gentleman dying.
I felt I did what I was trained to do and what I'm paid to do.
Are your officers trained to kneel or sit or stand on people when they're trying to subdue them?
They're trained to use whatever techniques they can to subdue a person who is resisting their attempts to control him.
That includes 5 officers in some way, shape, or form standing, sitting, kneeling on one man.
Yes.
Do you think these officers acted appropriately that night?
Whether they acted appropriately during the struggle and the attempt to subdue him is a cause for concern that I have.
But the jurors at the inquest were more certain. After hearing all the testimony, they recommended that all 5 officers be charged with the most serious crime permitted under Pennsylvania law, criminal homicide. The coroner's office agreed.
What we have is a suspicious and violent death.
But the Allegheny County District Attorney has announced he will not charge any of the officers with first or second-degree murder, saying he didn't believe the officers meant to kill Gamage. He is still deciding whether to file lesser charges against them.
What do you think should happen to these officers?
I think each and every one of them should have to serve sometime.
Do you think they should go to prison?
Oh, no doubt.
What do you say to somebody who might say, this was all just a real tragic mistake, it was a misunderstanding?
I can't believe that. They killed a good guy. It was the wrong one this time.
We're not out for blood, but a man did die. I mean, you have to remember that. And nothing can bring Johnny Gamage back. Should they just be allowed to walk free?
On final note, there's been a standoff between the Brentwood City Council and Police Chief Babish. Last week, the City Council asked Babish to resign, not because of any wrongdoing in the death of Johnny Gamage, but because the council felt he hasn't been supportive enough of the officers involved. So far, Babish has refused. What do you think? Give us some feedback. If you're over 18, you can call us at 900-678-4622, which will cost you 95 cents a minute. And you can send us a fax at 212-664-3330, or by email. Our address is dateline@nbc.com. We'll have your reaction on next week's Dateline.
Wow. So where do we go from here? Well, what you gotta understand here is this. This is similar to Rodney King, but it's different. Ended in a murder and different stories. That's where I stand here. Coming up, he was one of the accused people in the Oklahoma City bombing. His name was not Timothy McVeigh, nor was he what's his name, which was Terry Nichols. His name wasn't Terry Nichols or James or Timothy McVeigh. His name is James Nichols. For the very first time, you're going to get to hear his side, his version of what happened when federal agents came to his home without a search warrant. Stay with us. If you remember the Oklahoma City bombing 31 years ago, you might have known James. You might have known Terry Nichols and Timothy McVeigh. But there is also one other person who was linked to that bombing. It may sound familiar. His name is James Nichols. The sources close to the bombing say he is related to the bombing. Why? Because what you're about to hear is his version, is his side of the story of when federal agents came to his home and found and put on a show, according to what he said. Tonight, he's speaking out. Here's Chris Hansen.
We live and die on weather. You know, these should have been harvested 3 weeks ago. They'll just be feed. I was hoping to get food quality oats.
James Nichols isn't behind on his oat harvest just because of bad weather. This Michigan farmer's problem started even before planting season, on April 21st.
I heard on the radio they were raiding a house in Decker, Michigan. I said, wow, that's awful close to home. I wonder who it is. Well, within an hour I found out. Mine.
We are live in Decker, Michigan at a farmhouse where federal agents raided about 2 p.m.
This is what James Nichols saw when he drove up to his farm. Dozens of federal agents searching for evidence. James had been linked to the worst act of terrorism in U.S. history. The bombing of the Alfred Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. The two main suspects in the bombing once lived with James on his farm. His brother, Terry Nichols, and Terry's friend, Timothy McVeigh.
His driver's license shows my address, same address as mine. Convenient. Here it is. Let's go get him.
Yet the two primary suspects in the Oklahoma City bombing at one time lived here, are both close associates of yours. Does it stand to reason that the federal agents would want to come talk to you?
Oh, that's
Search
fine.
your place?
That's fine. I wasn't hiding anything. They didn't come to talk. They come to put on a show to show that they were doing something about the bombing. They were going to get somebody.
Nichols agreed to talk to Dateline on his Michigan farm about 2 hours north of Detroit. His only condition is that his friends be present to advise him and videotape our visit. And he wanted to wear a t-shirt advertising his legal woes. Throughout the interview, he also wore this hat saying, "That's my story, and I'm sticking to it." And you have to understand that James Nichols is not your average farmer. He opposes income taxes, but he reportedly accepts government subsidies for his family's farm. He harbors an intense distrust of government and banks. He keeps his cash under his mattress, a loaded pistol under his pillow, and he believes that federal agents tried to set him up during the raid, when Nichols claims they told him to retrieve that gun.
I said, no, I won't go get it. I told you, send an agent or two in there to go do it. Oh, go ahead and go do it. And they all turned their backs. Real nonchalantly, I said, whoa, wait a minute.
What do you think would have happened had you gone and retrieved that loaded pistol from your pillow?
They'd have shot me. Because they'd have just said, he pulled a gun on us. The fate of Terry and Tim would have been signed, sealed, and delivered.
What are you saying?
Then people don't testify.
Federal agents deny there was any attempt to set up James, and they say there was good reason to believe he had knowledge of the bombing. After the raid, James was jailed for 32 days, charged with making illegal bombs on his farm. The charges have since been dropped. But James doesn't deny that he's very close to his brother Terry and Timothy McVeigh. And James Nichols is one of the few people in whom McVeigh has confided.
Give me a feel for Tim McVeigh, the person.
You'd probably like him. He's a likable guy. He likes to go out and shoot guns. So do I.
Others have described him as a brooding loner, a drifter, disenchanted with the government, with his military experience, angry.
I never heard him complain about his military experience.
But what did he like to talk about?
Government issues, law, and this and that, Constitution, the Randy Weaver case,
Randy Weaver's wife and son were killed by federal agents during a now famous standoff in Idaho. That incident, along with the raid on the Branch Davidian compound near Waco, have become rallying points for people who think the federal government is out of control. Prosecutors say that's what motivated McVeigh and Terry Nichols to plant the bomb in Oklahoma City. And they believe the two were also inspired by this novel, The Turner Diaries. The book describes a plot to blow up a federal building using a fertilizer bomb. Federal agents say the bomb in the book is almost identical to the one used in Oklahoma City. McVeigh was fascinated by the book. Witnesses say he tried to get people to read it wherever he went.
Did he ever talk about it with you?
No. They mentioned it, that I should get it and read it. Terry's mentioned it before.
Terry and Tim told you to get the
Terry told me to get it here when I visited him in prison. Get it and read it.
Do you find it odd that your brother would say, go get the Turner Diaries and read it, when in the Turner Diaries, a group of people go out and blow up a federal building, and that's in fact what Terry's accused of doing?
There again, the Turner Diaries is a fiction, aren't they?
Yeah, but scarily similar to what happened in Oklahoma City. Haunting.
Oh. Anything's possible. But there's got to be facts there. There's got to be proof. Irrefutable proof.
As far as James Nichols is concerned, there is no proof. He says McVeigh was set up in a government plot, and that Terry wasn't acting like someone preparing to commit a terrorist act.
But he's not that character. He has a wife, and she's pregnant. He's planning for the future. He just bought a house. He's expanding his business. A person that's going to be involved in a bombing like that isn't going to plan for the future.
James Nichols also points out that Terry turned himself in when he heard federal agents wanted to talk to him. But when those same agents searched Terry's home and storage shed, they say they found barrels that matched the ones used in the bombing, and a receipt for 1 ton of fertilizer, roughly half the amount needed for the truck bomb.
Terry may have had fertilizer. He sells it at the trade shows, the gun shows.
Did you ever make bombs with ammonium nitrate, fertilizer, and fuel oil here on the farm?
I never personally did. I've seen other people do it.
Did Tim McVeigh or your brother Terry ever experiment with explosives out here on the farm?
Never made ammonium nitrate bombs or anything like that.
Now, where did all this pop bottle bomb stuff come from?
Well, one day someone was out here, Terry and someone else was doing it. Kids play, Kids play with firecrackers. Adults play with pop bottle bombs.
But what James Nichols calls play, federal agents saw differently.
Right. calcium nitrate. It does not explode. It's not even an oxidizer.
Do you think the federal agents were trying to make it look like
Yes.
this stuff could be used in a bomb like the bomb
Oh
in
yes,
Oklahoma City?
absolutely.
They were also suspicious of blasting caps and dynamite they found on James's farm. Items he says were for removing stumps and clearing ditches. And there was something else. Something a government informant says James told him back in 1988.
This confidential informant told the government that James Nichols told him the technology exists to make a mega bomb, a super bomb
In
that could
1988?
blow up a federal building.
No way. No way.
Did you make a comment like that after 1988?
I don't think so.
The informant claims that Nichols even drew a sketch of the Alfred Murrah Federal Building.
Did you ever draw a sketch?
No. 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 Nope. Never.
So this confidential informant was just lying to try to frame you?
Yes. Oh yes, absolutely.
James Nichols has been linked to the Michigan militia, people who call themselves constitutionalists and believe fiercely in the right to bear arms.
I told everybody, I've been to 2 meetings in my whole life. I didn't like them. I told them what I thought. They told me, said, you go your way, I'll go
What
mine.
didn't you like about the militia?
They have good ideas, but they just seemed a little too radical.
James may think the Michigan militia is too radical, but he's on the record as claiming the United States government may be behind the Oklahoma City bombing.
Are you going to stand here and tell me that you really believe the government would blow up one of its own buildings, kill 168 people, including innocent children?
Exactly.
Come on.
If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Let's get down to the basic point here, and it's the allegation that you're making that the government would blow up one of its own
wouldn't
buildings.
shoot an innocent, unarmed woman, Randy Weaver's wife, would they? But they did. They wouldn't burn innocent people in Waco, but they did.
Andy says he knows how the government may have pulled off the bombing. He showed us a magazine which lays out a two-bomb theory, and a letter someone sent him detailing another theory right out of a Tom Clancy movie.
There's what somebody's theory is, about a missile being dropped to get the building.
Do you think that's possible?
Oh, absolutely.
James theorizes the government staged the Oklahoma City bombing to help pass anti-terrorism and anti-gun legislation. New laws that he says are aimed at taking away people's rights.
When you want laws passed that you can't get passed, you have to create a situation so they will get passed.
So you're saying Bill Clinton got on the phone and said, blow up a building and get this law passed?
No, I'm not
You're saying
saying
Dan
that.
Marino did it? Are you saying that 3 rogue agents did it? I mean, who
It
did
could
it?
be. I don't know. It could be rogue agents. Who knows? And stop over.
James Nichols is feeling confident, even a bit smug these days.
Good magazine.
Yeah, sure.
His brother Terry still faces the death penalty if convicted in the Oklahoma City bombing. But as James kept pointing out to us, the government has dropped all charges against him.
I think that I should get at least a personal presidential apology from Bill Clinton and one from Janet Reno, because the orders came from Janet Reno to do this raid.
But he may not be as free as he thinks. Sources close to the bombing case tell Dateline that James Nichols remains under investigation in connection with the blast.
There are those in the government who still believe you had something to do with the bombing.
I'm not going to change their mind. You're not going to change their mind. They're the only ones that can change their mind. They're going to have to look at the facts. They have to live with that. I don't. I know in my heart, in my mind, I didn't do anything. I didn't help in any way, shape, or form.
The trial of James' brother Terry and Timothy McVeigh is expected to start sometime next year. Their lawyers recently asked that the trial be moved out of Oklahoma City.
All right. So here's where this stands. Okay, here's what we know. We know that James Nichols was involved, was linked to the Oklahoma City bombing. We know it was Terry. We know it was Timothy. We know that Tim and Terry lived with James at the time. We know exactly what happened. We exactly know what happened when this happened. After all this, you may think to yourself, that James Nichols was innocent. Well, yes, they dropped all charges, but he had something to do with the bombing. As we showed you, he was linked. And if he was linked to that bombing, all three would have been arrested. I mean, he blamed the government for, that bombing, which it was not the government's fault. It was Timothy McVeigh who did it. Now he died because of his act. So, you look at it either way. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We have two stories to tell. One's about a disgusting bathroom, and the other one is this story right here. This next story is all about heated school board meetings. Take a look at this. Now imagine you're at a school board meeting and it gets heated up and the officers tell you to leave. Well, here's Kristen Redford to tell you.
What has this district mastered instead? Damage control. Not child protection. Not transparency. Not accountability. Damage control.
Miami East local schools parents cried out tonight, urging the school board to do something after they say some teachers have been harming students.
He did not have her as a teacher. However, she would seem to find him, and when she did, she was very touchy with him, making him feel uncomfortable. And when she got sexual, asking questions, that's when we were notified.
The student's mother said no action was taken against the teacher until parents threatened to bring media into it. She says they even called in an advocate who drove across the state to speak on the board's lack of action.
The district has repeatedly fallen short when it comes to these allegations and accusations against teachers for what it seems to be years of misconduct, whether that is bullying, sexual misconduct. Either way, it has no place in any school district.
The board president said the district has opened their own investigation. That could last months.
We know this situation has caused great concern, and that concern is understandable. When allegations of this nature are raised, they weigh heavily on families, on students, and on all of us who care deeply about this school community. We hear you and will continue to listen carefully to your concerns tonight as well as in the weeks ahead.
Some parents say they still don't feel heard.
Everything that I have brought up tonight, I have brought up in the past and nothing was ever done.
The school board president said authorities have also opened their own investigation. The board said they will not be commenting on that investigation at this time. No charges have been filed. Reporting live in Casstown, Kirsten Reed.
No charges filed, but that's what they said. I mean, is what was talked about. Now here's our final story. Parents saying they're fed up with these conditions like this. Now they're wanting change.
Well, parents at JP Cornelius
Take a look.
Yeah, that's right, Caroline, I did. So the mom that I spoke with, she didn't want to be identified, but she tells me that she's obviously frustrated, and she says that there are parents on the PTO that are trying to raise money and even using some of their own money to try to fix some of the issues going on inside the school here. So parents and PTO members at JP Cornelius Elementary say they've been raising concerns for over a year about what they call hazardous conditions on campus. Some of those conditions include broken HVAC systems, restrooms that don't work properly, poor plumbing, and a molded outside deck area. The PTO says it's even started a fundraiser to try and help address some of the problems. One parent tells us that they fear if things don't change, a student could eventually get hurt.
So there's the HVAC, during the summer, during the winter, the restrooms the kids use every day. Again, the outside deck, plumbing issues throughout the entire school. So it's not just affecting the restrooms, it's also the drinking water, being able to wash their hands. The restrooms are falling apart, essentially. There's cracks in the floor where the floor is caving in. There's some of the urinals that they're using wooden blocks to keep them up. So the children are, using urinals that could potentially fall while they're being used. During the winter, there was one of these days that it was 40 degrees and they had no heating. So it's like the child being outside in the T building with no heat. And so they have to be moved around constantly, and it disrupts their learning. I do believe like some of the parents have like expressed wanting to like even put in like their services. Like there's parents that work for HVAC, and they express concerns like, oh, like maybe we should like get together and offer services and look into it. But I really don't think it should be left up to the parents to have to offer their services to fix an issue that should be addressed by the district itself. PTO did send out a fundraiser link, and they're trying to raise $30,000. And this is going to address the plumbing issues, the restroom issues, and the outside deck. They are trying to raise it fast because I believe they only have the summer to be able to fix these issues. They cannot fix throughout the school year. But ultimately, like, us as parents, we're tired. Like, there's so many fundraisers that they have going on. And for it to be left up to the parents, to the volunteers, to have to fundraise $30,000, we don't think that's right.
And again, as you heard that mom say, she says that parents are hoping to see some changes or resolution before the fall. Back to you.
It seems like parents and even the students have been dealing with these issues for quite some time now. Were you able to get any type of information or update out of the district?
Yeah, so I did reach out to the district, and they did acknowledge that they were aware of some of the reports and concerns that have come in over time, and they did send us a statement, so I want to read part of that statement for you. So that statement reads in part, the district has been actively reviewing the reported issues, and work orders have been submitted and scheduled in accordance with safety priorities and operational requirements. Reporting on the South Side, Leslie Delasport, Fox 26 News.
Wow. So now you know what the hell's going on here. So, raise some money, but you spend it all, count it up, and just don't care. So, fix the problem, or something else will happen. No one else. Well, that's all for Decision Game Make Friday, as well as our Season 9 finale. Sorry. Tonight marks the end of Season 9 of Give Me a Break. I'm taking the summer off to relax. That's all for Decision Game Make Friday. We'll see you again when we start Season 10. I'm John the Carmody. I'll see you next time. And thank you for watching Season 9 of Give Me a Break.